And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
That's why you called Israel. Is it real? No, it's not. How did we leave there black and come back white? How did we leave there black and come back white? How did we leave there black and come back white? How did we leave there black and come back white? Can somebody answer that for me? Can somebody answer that for me? Can somebody answer that for me? Can somebody answer that for me?
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean, South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
The white man is enacting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be of tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism. Except loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries, and
from the Renaissance.
Oh yeah, right. You wipe everything clean. It's funny how exactly the Renaissance. It's this rebirth, but it's white rebirth. Think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say Shalom Lach, Mash
Paka. I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. If you can hear me clearly, type one inside the chat. If you can hear me clearly, type one inside the chat. All right. If you can hear me clearly, type one inside the chat. Okay, there we go. There we go. Got to get back into the flow of things. I know I really haven't been over the past few weeks, especially since I went to Georgia. Just gotten out of sync with doing these playbooks, and I know I have to get back in sync with that. And then with a lot of things going on at work and all of that, I got a stack of papers here on my desk from working from home and presentation I had to do a major presentation early today. So I mean, I got stacks of stuff here, right here, But yeah, I've been kind of gotten out of whack with doing the playbooks, and so we're going to get back into alignment with that. Really get that going again, and want to say peace and blessings to all of you guys, and really appreciate all the love that you guys have been sharing on the Patreon page. Just launched it a couple of weeks ago, and right now we're almost at 100 Patreon members there, and I really appreciate you guys for investing your time, investing your effort, and of course investing your resources. So I really appreciate you guys for doing that, and I thank you. So let me go ahead and give some shout outs here. I see Sister E here. I want to say peace and blessings to my sister. Sis, I'm going to drop the link, and if you want to jump in, if you had time to jump in, feel free to do so. If not, I definitely understand. But I want to say peace and blessings to Sister E. Everyone give Sister E some love. All right. So I really appreciate her and all of you. So let's go ahead and get started here. Let's go ahead and go down the list and give some shout outs as people start coming into the live. I want to start off with Jason. I want to say shalom to you. Dwayne, I want to say peace and blessings. I want to say shalom to you. I want to say to my sister here. Now, I'm not going to butcher your name. I had it at one time, so I'm not going to butcher your name. But I thank you for your love and your support, even if you have to send me it again so that way I could get it down again. I thought I had it, but I don't want to butcher your name, and I don't want to just sound like I'm disrespecting your name. I want to thank you for the love and support, for this channel. So I really appreciate you. And so, again, shalom to you. Send me the pronunciation so that way I get it right, and that way I can put it on a sticky note. And even if I have to have it sit on my desk just to make sure I have your name correct. So again, I thank you for the love and support here. I want to say peace and blessings to Mr. The Original School. I want to say peace and blessings to Joy. Appreciate you, Sister Joy. Who else do we have here? Jimmy Gilliam. Want to say all praises to the Most High. Absolutely. Peace and blessings to you, K. Israelite. Want to say peace and blessings to you. Let's see here. Sorry, I just wanted to know. Thanks anyway. Okay. Not sure what that is, but if you have any questions, repost it and we'll get to it. Carlide, I want to say shalom to you. And again, appreciate Sister Joy. Appreciate you. Tana Rich, I want to say shalom to you. Appreciate your support as well, holding it down as well with the moderation of this channel. Really appreciate you. Pamela Gibson, I want to say praises. That's right. All praises to the Most High. Thank you. Appreciate you. My brother, Ernest Higgs, peace and blessings to you. Thank you for the support of this channel and the Patreon account as well. So thank you. Appreciate you, my brother. Woman of God, want to say peace and blessings to you. Jennifer Irby, want to say shalom to you as well. Let's see here. Carla Flo, want to say peace and blessings to you. Barak Atah Adonai. That's right. Bless you, Adonai. Bless you, our master, which that word also master Adonai transliterates to Lord. It transliterates to master, but all praises to our Adonai. Bless you, Adonai. Appreciate you. Shalom to you as well. Let's see here. Allah Hayam is with us. Absolutely. Want to say peace and blessings to you. That's right. The evening is good. Want to say Tawab Arab or Arab Tawab Mash Paka. So appreciate you. Who else do we have here? I think I went through here. Got everyone. Let's see. Yolanda, peace and blessings to you. Cynthia, peace and blessings to you. Legend Royal Blue, peace and blessings to you. Tiffany Moore, peace and blessings to you. We're getting closer to the end of this list. I think I got everyone. Again, I want to say peace and blessings to my sister, Sister E. And like I said, sis, I'll drop the link inside the chat if you want to jump in. I want to say peace and blessings to 1619 Brood. That's right. 400. Now we have 402 years or 3 years. So appreciate you, my brother. Well, actually, I'm not even going to say my brother because I got 1619 really doesn't say whether you male or female. So I don't want to disrespect you. Ali Power, want to say shalom to you. Arrow Spike, want to say shalom to you. Lachelle, I really appreciate you, Lachelle, all the love and support. Really appreciate you joining the Patreon account. Really appreciate you, sis, from supporting on Facebook to YouTube and to the Patreon account and just supporting PFR as well. So I really appreciate you, sis. Dawnza K, want to say peace and blessings to you. Ya Son, want to say peace and blessings to you. And who else do we have here? Poetic Justice, peace and blessings to you. Shalom to you. And let's see, Windwalker, as well as Lemuria. I want to say shalom to you. Dimitri, want to say peace and blessings to you. Shalom to you as well. There you have it, family. I think I got everyone on the list. Want to at least give, some shout outs. I know it's been a while. Know we got a lot of catching up to do. So tonight, as you see on your screen, the lesson for today, and let me drop this link to Sister E if she wants to join in. And if Jay Heist, if he joins in, if he jumps in the chat, if he joins us tonight, or Sister Carol, there's the link right there. All right. I'll put it inside the comment section. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So the lesson for today is Messiah from a Cursed King, the Throne Chronicles, right? I kind of thought about that topic. I was like, the Throne Chronicles. I'm gonna have to do a series on that because I had a different series called When There Were Kings. So I'm gonna have to redo that and repackage it and call it the Throne Chronicles and really deal with a lot of the turmoil and the backdrops of the different kings of Israel. So I did a lesson years ago, a whole series called titled When They Were Kings. And I might have to clean that up and repackage it and present it to you guys with the title, The Throne Chronicles. I kind of like that. It's very catchy. So with that being said, tonight, we're going to deal with the Messiah from a Cursed King. And we're going to deal with a couple of the talking points that many non-Messianic brews tend to run to or hold on to try to discourage or not just even discourage, but discredit our Messiah. I mean, so many different arguments that are out there to try to discourage or discredit our Hebrew Israelite Messiah. And so we're going to touch on a main point here. And and appreciate you, Sister Eve. So I know you're driving home, so appreciate it. But anytime, you know how we do it. But I want to deal with this right here because there's a lot of talking points that's going around, a lot of things that are getting people tripped up, especially when we start dealing with the Messiah. So we're going to deal with this right here, and there's a lot of talking points. And when I was a PM for AT&T, I had one of my peers. He was preparing to become a rabbi, right? He was preparing to become a rabbi, and he's Orthodox. I mean, You know, he don't believe in well, what we would call the renewed covenant, or some would call the New Testament, which that term did not come into play until almost the 3rd century. But nevertheless, he didn't believe in all of that. They are waiting for the Messiah to come for the first time. They're waiting for their version of the Messiah, not the true Messiah. So he and we clashed, right? We had all kinds of heated discussions. And I also had another peer who was, who was a teacher in the mosque, and also he was from Turkey. So we dealt with a lot of intense conversations. And trust me, I dealt with every argument that any non-Messianic brew can throw out there, because I dealt with it with him and was able to navigate and respond to every last one of his arguments. So guess what? We're going to do that tonight. I'm going to show you how to respond to a key talking point. I'm going to cover a couple other things just to kind of knock down a couple of things at the same time. But we're going to primarily show and prove that the lineage of Joseph. We're going to prove that Joseph or the Messiah, he even though he came from a king that was cursed. But I'm going to show you some key nuggets. I'm going to show you some key nuggets of how to clean that up, how to respond to that. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and get it in. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. So again, Messiah from a cursed king, the Throne Chronicles. All right. So the objectives for this lesson, we're going to deal with Matthew's chapter 1, verse 11. Does Matthew's chapter 1, verse 11, cancel Yahushai? In other words, which transliterates to Jesus, right? Does Yahushai, does it cancel out Yahushai from being the Hebrew Israelite Messiah? And I'm saying it that way for a reason, because of, I believe that Christianity has gotten people away from really understanding that the Messiah was a Hebrew Israelite. Even though we know Hebrew, the word Hebrew is a transliteration of Ibar or Ibar Yah or Ibar Rai. We know that, or we know that Yashara Al is the ancient pronunciation. So, but the Messiah, he was is a Messiah that came specifically to bring salvation to the lost sheep, to Israel. So that you can't get around that. That's Matthew's chapter 15. You just cannot get around that, right? So that's why I say the Hebrew Israelite Messiah. I make it clear so that way we are reminded that he was not a Gentile, right? Because the way that is taught, many would lead you to believe that the Messiah, he wasn't connected to Israel. All right. So that's why I say the Hebrew Israelite Messiah. And you'll hear me use the term Messiah more so than Christ. Right now, I'm not minimizing or belittling using Christ, but that is a Greek term, right? And we know that Messiah, right? That is a transliteration of Mashiach, right? So with that being said, I use certain terms just so that way it causes us to think more. So excuse me if you heard any noise. I hit my mic here, but nevertheless, let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So does Jehoiakim, or should I say Jehoiakim? That's what it should have been. Jehoiakim, Jeconias, does he cancel out the Messiah? And that's the primary thing that we are going to cover. But I'm going to touch on just a few things along the way. Not going to get too deep into some other discussions, but we will touch on a couple of things along the way. But does Jehoiakim, in other words, Jeconias, he also known as Conias, does he cancel out the Messiah? We'll go there shortly. We'll deal with who's Joseph, right? Who is Joseph's father? That's what it should be here. Who's Joseph's father? Is it Jacob? Some of the things that many people would teach, or excuse me for this typo here. I need to correct that. So let's start with highlighting a few things as far as what many would try to say is a contradiction. When you start dealing with people that just don't believe the text, they are always trying to come up with a contradiction. They say, oh, see, this contradiction, a aha moment. That's what many of these guys look for. They look for an aha moment when actually you can properly explain the text with clarity. They look for an aha moment to get you tripped up so that way they can continue to insert whatever they want to insert. They want to downplay, discredit the true Messiah, our true Messiah. They want to downplay, discredit him so that way they can inject a Messiah of whatever image that they want to push, their own image or images of some other belief systems. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about with these guys. They want to put down what we believe so that way they can inject and push what they believe on you. And this is pretty basic here, that, believe it or not, many within the church cannot answer these questions. See, when I teach and groom our evangelistic team, I teach them these things right here. I prepare them to go out and do true evangelism. If they come across anyone that may be, let's just say, a Moor or whatever other belief systems, every minister from within our ministry that goes out and do evangelism can handle the conversations with anyone. And before I get started, it makes me think about a pastor friend of mine, right? He asked the question. He asked the question. He said, hey, every time he sent out his evangelistic team, his evangelism team to go out and do outreach, right? Guess what? They go out to witness and most of them don't return. And he couldn't understand that. He was losing a lot of people every time he sent his ministers out to go witness in the neighborhood. So he brought that question up among the pastors, right? And I said to him, I said, well, do you know your area? He said, what do you mean? I said, you really don't know your area. You sending your people out to go evangelize, but you don't even know the area that you're sending them out to. I said, all around you, just in that area, you have the Moors. You have a Moorish, temple out there. You have the Moors out there that's predominantly in that whole area. I said, so I can tell you, you send them out there and they start having conversations with the Moors, they are not coming back because you're not preparing them properly. You're not teaching them identity. You're not teaching them any of those things. And many of those guys know the scriptures better than these evangelists that's being sent out. And they are being what? In a nutshell, they're being shredded apart with the word. So I had to explain that to him. And then when he gave up his location to another pastor friend of ours, I had to say the same thing to him. And then he had me come over and prepare his evangelism team to show them how to go out and how to engage people that are in different belief systems, especially in that area. So family, this is what we have to do. We have to upgrade our evangelism so that way we know how to witness and we know how to respond when people ask us a question. A lot of times it's your own family members that are asking you simple questions. And many of us struggle with even the simple questions. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right. Is this a contradiction? All right. This is coming from Matthew chapter 1, verse 15 and 16. Matthew chapter 1, verse 15 and 16. And it says, right? Actually, I'm just going to highlight verse 16. And Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Yahushua, in other words, Jesus, who is called Christ or Mashiach. Some would say Mashiach, but simply means anointed. Let me read that again. And I want you to pay attention here. It says, and Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Yahushua, in other words, Jesus, who is called Christ. Now I want you to make a note of this text right here. Make a note of Matthew chapter 1, verse 16. Now let's take this and let's go over to Luke chapter 3, verse 23. Let's go over here. And notice what it says. It says, and Yahushua, in other words, Jesus himself began to be about 30 years of age. And when you understand that, that's in Deuteronomy. We'll deal, we're not going to deal with that tonight. Far as the age, you also see this in Numbers. Far as the age of 30, I'm not getting into all that. But nevertheless, we see here, and Yahushua himself began to be about 30 years of age, being as was supposed the son of Joseph, which was the son of Heli. And actually, it should be Eli, right? That's how it is really Eli here, right? When you look at the Greek and when you take it to the Hebrew, it's actually Eli. So is this a contradiction? Because in Matthew, we see Jacob being referred to as the father of Joseph. But here we see that Joseph is being referred to as the son of Heli. All right. So who's the daddy? Who's the daddy? Is this a contradiction? And I'm going to tell you, it's not a contradiction. See, part of the problem, we try to bring our modern way of thinking and try to backdate it, right? The things that we question, like miracles and all that, guess what? They weren't questioning whether or not miracles took place, right? They that miracles can happen. They just confirmed, they were basically confirming whether or not certain miracles were happening. They did certain discussions that we're struggling with today. Like you'll hear some of the, the Christian evangelists or apologetics, you hear them say, well, show me in the scripture where Christ called himself a Hebrew, or Christ said that he was black. Show me where Apostle Paul says that he's black. Guess what? Tell me, do you, whenever you go around your family members, do you have to reiterate to them that the color of your skin? When you go around your family members, do you have to tell them who you are? Do you have to go to them and tell them that, hey, my name is such and such, and I'm out, and my last name is this? No, you don't have to do that. Certain discussions they didn't have to do because it was already there. Now, it's interesting. They didn't have to go around telling each other their skin complexion because they all had the same skin complexion. Certain things they didn't have to argue with and debate about because guess what? They all practice these things. But when you get to Revelation chapter 1 and chapter 2, you see that the Messiah's skin complexion is referenced a couple of times. Why? Think about where we are today. So we have to make sure we put things in its proper perspective. Certain things you're just not going to have in your discussion because you are family. We are family. And I've been around this world, right? And I never had to convince anyone about my skin complexion, especially coming from within our community. All right. So there are certain things that when we look at this scripture, there were certain things they practiced Torah, they lived Torah. It wasn't just them opening up like how we would do today. Many will open up the Bible and read the law of Moses as if it's just a story. No, this is a culture. This is a lifestyle. This is their government, how they function. So this is their everyday lives. So certain things they already knew, and certain things, certain protocols they adhered to at that time. But anyway, so is this a contradiction? Right? In Matthew chapter 1, we see Jacob, right? In Luke chapter 3, we see Eli, even though it says Heli. Is this a contradiction? So Matthew says Jacob is the father of Joseph, and Luke says Heli or Eli is the father of Joseph. So which is it? Is it a contradiction? No, it's not a contradiction. I was about to go do my Donald Trump voice. No, it's not a contradiction. About to do my Donald Trump impersonation. So Joseph, right, was the son of Jacob by birth, but he was the son of Heli by marriage, or Eli by marriage. Let me say that again. Joseph was the son of Jacob by birth, and he was the son of Eli by marriage. Now, when you really do this the studies, you'll understand that the lineage that you see in Luke chapter 3 is based off of uh, Miriam's lineage. But we see Joseph listed. But we know that when we start looking at the text, primarily you'll see the lineage of who? The men listed, not the full lineage of the women. You may see women names here in some of the when you look at the genealogy, right? But overall, they are what? Showing the lineage by way of the men, right? So here we see Joseph again. Joseph was the son of Jacob by birth, but he was the son of Heli or Eli by marriage. So it was ordained, or it was when you start understanding and reading these laws, right? And Numbers chapter 36, and there's other chapters we could refer to, that the man who married the daughter of a father having no sons became the son of that father and inherited his property. But guess what? Just to keep the property inside that particular tribe. And also you'll see how the daughters retain the property of that father, right? If he did not have any sons. So I'll just read that text here. We're not going to go too deep in it. I'll just read one of the texts that I just highlighted, Numbers chapter 36, verse 5 through 10. We'll highlight it real quick. And it says here, and Moses commanded the children of Israel according to the word of Yahweh, saying, the tribe of the sons of Joseph hath said, well, this is the thing which Yahweh doeth command concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, let them marry to whom they think best. Only to the family of the tribe of their fathers shall they marry. So shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe. For every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his father. In a nutshell, it goes on to say, and every daughter that possesseth an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be wife unto one of the family of the tribe of her father, that the children of Israel may enjoy every man of the inheritance of his fathers. So again, the inheritance that was from that man that would be passed down to the daughters. Guess what? The daughters did not have to run a risk of losing their inheritance by marrying someone that may not be of the same tribe, right? So when you start understanding the laws here, these laws are to make sure that that heritage, that piece of property, or whatever it is, that inheritance stayed within that tribe. So if someone married a woman of another tribe who did not have sons, right? She didn't have to run a risk of losing all she had by marrying him, and he, the husband, became a son of her father, right? Would be considered a son. That's a whole nother discussion here, but anyway, right? So verse 9: neither shall the inheritance remove from one tribe to another tribe, but every one of the tribes of the children of Israel shall keep himself to his own inheritance. Okay, so again, the key to understanding Luke, the scriptures that we highlighted, the key to understanding that particular passage in Luke, right, when it says that he is the son of Heli, you have to understand, or Eli, you have to understand the usage of the word son. Let me say that again. The key to understanding the text is the usage of the word son. So let's go to the Greek definition of this word son, right? We see huios, right? And it says a son, used very widely of immediate, remote, or figurative kinship. So guess what? Here is telling you son can be directly the lineage of, like, for example, the very next generation, first generation, or it could be grandson, or it could be someone that's part of the same tribe, or it could be someone out of the same bloodline. So son it can be used in a number of different ways. That's what this is saying here. But if we go to the Hebrew definition of the word son, it's going to confirm this as well, right? So it says here, a son, in other words, as a builder of the family name. In the widest sense of literal and figurative relationship, including grandson. Notice what it says, not just the immediate son of a father, it says grandson, but then also we see nation. I just highlighted a few key words here in this definition. We're not going to go through each one of them, but it goes on to say anointed one, a one born, branch, breed, right? Nephew. So even though you may be a nephew versus being a direct son, you still refer to as what? A son. You could be a nephew and still be referred to as son, right? Because when we look at Lot, Lot was actually Abraham's nephew, but he treated Lot as his son. And actually, Lot was in line. He was in a line to receive all of what Abraham had worked hard for. Had Abraham had not had any seeds, he would have inherited all of Abraham's stuff because he would have been considered his son, right? If he did not have any other children. All right. But anyway, we see here, and I want to go to the sub entry here where we see here, you see son, grandson, child, member of a group. Member of what? A group. Let me say that again. Member of a group. So son, right? Ban or banyag, right? Son, grandson, child, member of a group, right? So ban, son, right? These are, and then it says here, people of a nation, plural. So son can be used for direct son of a father. It can be used, in other words, one generation. It can be used to refer as to a grandson, but it also can be referred to as son-in-law, right? So when you see son, it can also be used interchangeably with the title or being the son-in-law. Well, let me prove that to you. You know, I like to give scripture. 1 Samuel chapter 24, verse 16. Notice this here. And it came to pass when David had made an end of speaking these words unto Saul, and Saul said, is this thy voice, my son David? And Saul lifted up his voice and wept. So we see here, we know that David was not Saul's son. He was not part of Saul's bloodline. He was of another tribe, but he was his son by way of him marrying his daughter. But he referred to David as his son, even though we know that David is what? His son-in-law, right? So I wanted to make sure that you understand that the proper context, if we read Luke chapter 3, we're dealing with son-in-law. The lineage there is dealing with Mary, but we're looking at Joseph because you'll see the lineage of who the men, and we'll see Joseph listed, but it's really Miriam's lineage. So Joseph was the son-in-law of Eli. All right. So let's deal with another supposed contradiction. Is the name or is Jacob, because in Matthew we see that it says Jacob is the father of Joseph, right? So is this the same Jacob who is the father of Israel? Because believe it or not, some trying to discredit Joseph by way of, well, really the Messiah by way of Joseph and by way of Miriam, they try to say that Jacob is, far as the father of Israel, is the same Jacob that you see inside the text of Joseph. Family, believe it or not, people are getting tripped up by something that should be basic. Let's start with understanding the Hebrew definition of the word Jacob. Let's see what it says here, right? Ya'aquab, right? We see here, it says here, heel catcher, Israelite patriot, heel holder. So we see that Jacob, right? We know that this is the father of Israel, right? But guess what? This name was also used for other Israelites, and I'm going to show it here, and I'm going to prove it to you, right? So Jacob was a popular name. It was a very popular name, but I'm going to show you where Jacob's name is actually inside the what is called the New Testament. I'm going to show you that his name is in the New Testament, but guess what? I'm going to surprise some of you where his name actually may be. Not just Jacob. Let me show you. The Hebrew definition of James. Let me say this again. The Hebrew definition of James. So, for example, in my family, right, my family name is Carr, and it's also James. Carr and James, right? So if you understand James, the name James, you'll see that this name also connects to the Hebrew name Jacob. James is a transliteration, a name that comes from the Yaakov, right? The Hebrew name for Jacob. But let me prove it to you. Right? This is the Greek, right? And notice what it says. Iacobus, right? It says here, Jacobus, the name of 3 Israelites. So just in the text, it says, we see this name is referring to Jacob, but it says the name of 3 Israelites, James. And notice one of them that's listed here, son of Zebedee, an apostle and brother of the apostle John, commonly called James the Greater or Elder, slain by Herod in Acts chapter 12. Right? So we see it here. Then we see the letter by James, whose brother? The Messiah's brother. So we see here, even in this in-depth definition, we see some additional names of Jacob, because James actually comes from the Hebrew word Jacob. So let me prove it. Right? So far, right? Because we see that it's referring to Jacob. It says the same as, and then it tells us to go to this entry right here. So let's go to it. Let's go to 2384. Well, this is 2384, right? This is 2384. And let me show you what it says. It says, and it said Iacob, right? Iacob or Iacob, however you want to pronounce it, right? It says here, Yaakov or Yaakov, right? In the ancient, right? Jacob, the progenitor of the Israelites, also an Israelite, right? So we see the second son of Isaac, right? But we also see the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary. And I just proved to you that that name Jacob transliterates over to what? The name James. And notice what you see here in the backdrop, right? Again, this is what we just highlighted. This is what we highlighted in the background. We see the different uses of the name James, which comes from what? Jacob. The Hebrew word Yaakov, the ancient Hebrew name of that transliterates to Jacob. All right. So we see that name Jacob, right? We see that Jacob, for us, the father of Israel, is not the literal father in terms of first generation father of Joseph. Okay. And Joseph is not the same Joseph, right? That is the son, right, of Jacob. He's not the same son. It's not the same son. So let's make sure just some basic stuff we have to lay out. Just some basic stuff we have to lay out. So again, family, if you have James as your name, your name James actually comes from the Hebrew word Yaakov, which is Jacob. All right. Now let's deal with this here. Son of a cursed king. Notice what it says, not anymore. So let's go ahead. This is the big argument that I really want to get into, because this is what many will try to use, including those within, non-Messianic brews, and you have non-Messianic Jews, and, they would try to use this here to discredit the Messiah, our true Messiah. So let's knock down these talking points right now, this major talking point, this major stumbling block to many who are not capable or able to answer this question, right? So let's go ahead and get into it. Here we go. Let's go to Matthew chapter 1, verse 11 and 12. And we see here, and Josias begat Jeconias and his brethren about the time they were carried away to Babylon. And after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconias begat Salathiel, and Salathiel begat Zerubbabel. Now, we have to explain this here. We have to explain Jeconias. You have to understand there's no controversy here. There's no contradiction. There's no hiding of this. There's a reason why Jeconiah is listed here, and it's telling you that Jeconiah and his brethren says they were carried away to Babylon. We all know this, but why is this important? Because we see Jeconiah, but we also see Zerubbabel. This is important, and I'm going to show you why. So let's go to explaining Jeconiah, and then we'll get to Zerubbabel, right? So we already proved that Heli or Eli is not the father of Joseph. We just proved that. So that slide should not even be there. I'll have to update my slide to take that out. But let's deal with this here. Who was Jeconiah? We're going to answer this question. Let's start with the Greek definition of Jeconiah, right? Eikones, right? So Hebrew origin, and we see Hebrew, it's pointing us to the Hebrew name and all of that. But the key is Jeconiah, all right? He is actually in Hebrew. You'll see in what many refer to the Old Testament, in the book of Jeremiah, you'll see Jeconiah or Jehoiakim, right? His father was Jehoiakim, right? You can really get their names mixed up. Jeconiah or Jehoiakim, right, was the son of Jehoiakim. And he was king for 3 months and 10 days, king of Judah, until Nebuchadnezzar carried him into captivity. So let's go to Jehoiakim. And you're going to pretty much see almost the same thing, right? It's still basically pointing to the same thing. Jah will establish that's his name means, the meaning of his name. We see Jeconiah. We see that he was a king of Judah, right? And we see some of the in-depth definitions back underneath here. But anyway, let's deal with the consequences of this fallen king. Let's deal with the consequences of this fallen king, because this is imperative for you guys to understand. Let's deal with this here. Here we go. Jeremiah chapter 22, verse 24 through 30. Let's read it. And this is where they get, when I say they, these non-Messianics get their argument to try to discredit the Messiah. Notice what it says here. As I live, saith Yahweh, though Coniah, the son of Joachim, and Coniah, again, that is Jehoiakim, right? The son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were the signet, make a note of that, signet upon my right hand, yet would I pluck thee thence. So now we're dealing with the royalty, his authority being removed as part of the judgment, dealing with Jehoiakim. And I will give thee into the hand of them that seek thy life, and into the hand of them whose face thou fearest, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and unto the hand of the Chaldeans. Then when we get to verse 26, notice what it says. And I will cast thee out, and thy mother that bare thee into another country, where ye were not born, and there ye shall die. Verse 27. Now here, this is where we get into the meat and potatoes here. But to the land whereunto they desire to return, thither shall they not return. Is this man Coniah a despised broken idol? Is he a vessel wherein is no pleasure? Wherefore are they cast out, he and his seed, and all are cast into a land which they know not. Let me read that again. And are cast into a land which they know not. Here we go. This is what we're going to highlight. This is what we're going to focus on. It says, "O earth, earth, earth," similar to the three woes. "O earth, earth, earth." And this is important. Why? Because remember, when Cain slayed Abel, who ratted him out? Who told on? Who bore witness of the crime that Cain committed? I'll put that question there. Who told on who told on Cain when he slayed his brother Abel? And I'm not going to say ratted him out. Not going to call him the snitch, right? But who ratted? Well, not ratted. Who told on witnessed against Cain slaying his brother Abel? Right? Who is the witness that we see in the text that bore witness of what Cain had done? Right? And just post your comments inside the chat, and we'll just post it on the screen. Right? So that's why this is important. The answer is right there in front of you. And let's see here. I see Davian. He posted Earth, and I see Ali Power. He posted Earth. Right? Let's see here. Charles West, Earth. Right? Let's see. Zara Yaquab, right? Or Yaakov. He said ground. All right. Let's see. So guess what, family? You guys are correct. Ernest Higgs, or earth, right? Aratazah, the earth, the ground. Guess what? When Walker, the Most High saw the act himself, but guess what? The scripture says that the ground testified against him as well, because his blood was on that ground. His blood was on that earth. His blood was on that Adamah, that soil, right? So you guys are absolutely correct. So what we see here, now the Most High is saying, earth, earth, earth. Hear, listen with intelligence. Witness the word of Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh, write ye this man childless. Now we know that Jehoiakim had children. But notice what it says here. Write ye this man childless, a man that shall not prosper in his days. For no man of his seed shall prosper. No man of his seed. So we know he's going to have children, but we see that there is a declaration, a judgment on his bloodline, his immediate seed. For no man of his seed shall prosper, sitting upon the throne of David and ruling anymore in Judah. Man, that's a stern judgment right there. Now, does this cancel out the Messiah? Because we see that Jeconiah, which is Jehoiakim, we see that he is listed in the lineage of our Messiah. Is this a deal breaker? Does this cancel out our Messiah? Guess what, family? It doesn't. And I'm going to prove it to you here. I'm going to prove it to you here. It's very straightforward. It's simple. Let me prove it to you. What's going on here? All right, don't tell me my thing is acting up here. Let me back up here. My apologies, family. What is going on here? My presentation has just let me take this out. I don't know what just happened. My PowerPoint just locked up on me and it just shut down. So let me bring this presentation back up. All right, let's do this again. Let me fix this here. Having a little glitch here. That was weird. It just bombed out on me. All right. Let me bring this up here. My apologies, family. Let's get back here. So, almost there. This is where we left off at. Okay. All right. Bringing it back up here. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Why isn't this pulling up here? Yeah, my PowerPoint is acting a little glitchy here. It's not pulling my presentation up again. Let's see here. All right, let me stop that. That's not what I want. All right, let me try this again. All right. Here we go. Yeah, that's weird. There we go. All right, here we go. My apologies, family. Just had some glitches with PowerPoint. Just decided to quit on me. So right when we get into the meat and potatoes here. So again, we left off on Jeremiah chapter 22, verse 30, where it says, "For no man of his seed shall prosper sitting upon the throne of David and ruling any more in Judah." All right, so let's explain this. So again, though Coniah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were the signet upon my right hand, yet would I pluck. So how important is the signet ring? And let me answer this question. How important is the signet ring? Matter of fact, I'll ask you the question. How important is this signet ring? Post your questions, or not questions, but comments. Post your comments inside the chat, and we're going to cover it. We're going to post your comments here, and then we're going to explain this because this is a powerful lesson to all of us. And I'm going to tell you why when we get to that point of the lesson. This is a powerful lesson, a lesson that can encourage every last one of us, especially men. It's going to encourage you. So, how important is the signet ring? How important is this ring? If you know the answer or you have an idea what the answer is, post it inside the chat and we'll read it. We'll put your comments up on the screen and then we'll confirm it. All right. So, how important is the signet ring? Well, if I'll give you another second here, another opportunity. Want to say peace and blessings to PM Hilton Senior. Want to say peace and blessings. Appreciate you. Candace Raven. Want to say peace and blessings. Appreciate you, the love and support you've been showing the channel, support of the ministry that the Most High has given me. I really appreciate you. Let's see here. My brother, Elder Eric here. Everybody, let's give Elder Eric some love here. Let's give Candace Raven some love here. All right. So let's see some of the answers here. We see my brother Eric Beats Brothers Production, a sign of the covenant. All right. Let's see who else. Absolutely. Let's see who else here. Poetic Justice, very important. He said the signet ring is very important. Let's see here. Yolanda, I think the signet ring establishes the king's lineage. Very important. Some great answers. Let's see. Israelite wife Desiree. Let's see. Oh, don't worry about it. YouTube has been messing with my notifications for quite some time. So I'm glad that you're on tonight, sis. Appreciate you. Let's see here. Second birth Hebrew. The signet represents ownership. All right. Great answer. Sister Carol, Everyone gives some love, social love to Sister Carol. It's a sign of rulership. Let's see here. Who else? Stay on fire. I think very important. And we're going to give the answer here, but you guys are onto something here. Let's see here. Jennifer Irby, something stamped with the signet ring means forever. Yeah, that's very important when you understand the king. That's his signature, right? The Pope stole this too. Don't kiss his ring. Absolutely. There's a lot. I'm going to teach on that. Appreciate it, Win Walker. That's right. Don't kiss that ring. All right. Let's see here. Black, red, white, and blue. It is a symbol of your royalty or position. You guys are giving some great answers here. My brother Ernest Higgs, sign of rulership and covenant. Let's see here. Let's see. Some of the comments are coming. You guys are really on it. Authority. Ya Farah, authority. Let's see here. Mr. Original, very important. Let's see here. Omar Judah, I'll say rulership. You guys are giving some great answers. Let's see here. My brother, Elder Brunson. Let's show some love to Elder Brunson. We got the elder in the building. Represents the authority. So you guys are giving some great answers here. So now let's go ahead and give you the answer here. Let's tie it in because all of you guys gave some great answers and it ties in. Let's start with Genesis 38. Let's see how important the signet ring is. Let's start with Genesis chapter 38, verse 18. And I'll tie this all in. This is dealing with Judah, Yahweh, the son, right, of Jacob. This is Judah now. This chapter is Genesis 38, verse 18. It says, and he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet, Katham, and thy bracelets, Pathayal, and thy staff, Matak, that is in thine hand, Yad. And he gave it to her and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. Now, the backdrop in this particular story here in history, we have Judah. Now, Judah had some things that he thought was a secret. Judah operated in he and his traveling buddies, so to speak. They had a little code among them, right? Kind of like what we hear today. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You know, kind of like what you hear even in the military, because in the military, there was a similar saying, you know, like I said, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But in the military, what happens TDY stays TDY.
What?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a code in the military. Whatever happens when you TDY stays TDY.
What?
So whatever happens in Vegas, that's that so-called code stays in Vegas. And Judah, whatever happened in his travels, guess what? Stayed on the road in his travels. But guess what? Judah thought that he had it wrapped tight. He thought he had his strongholds. He thought he had that wrapped tight. And little did he know that everybody knew his pattern. His own daughter, or daughter-in-law, by way of the marriage of his son, she knew his pattern. So what happened here? His son died. So by law, his wife is supposed to go to the next son and marry the son and produce a seed. And so that seed that they produce will be considered the son of the son that died, right? But instead, Judah's son decided to allow himself to abort the seed. It says he spilled on the ground. We're adults here. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's in the word. So he allowed himself to spill on the ground. So he did not uphold his obligation. He aborted the seed. This is where you get Odin, right? Self-pleasure. That's what Odin means, self-pleasure. So he pleased himself, but he didn't carry out his responsibility to what? Produce a seed. So that way that seed, that child, that son will be considered the seed of his brother, but he didn't do so. So the punishment was the Most High took his life. So what Tamar decided to do, he said, you know what she said, what she decided to do, like, you know what, let's go to wherever her father-in-law is going to be. She took it upon herself to disguise herself as his stronghold. That's interesting, right? Tamar decided to look like Judah's stronghold. Judah had a thing for women. He had a lustful spirit. So while he's away on this trip, Tamar disguised herself, and she disguised herself. She was unrecognizable. She looked like she was a prostitute. So what happened? She met with Judah. Judah said, hey, you know what? I don't have nothing to pay you. He slept with her and everything. He didn't even know who she was. He didn't have the finances to pay her. So what he said is he's going to go and get the resources. But in the meantime, he left his signet, which is his ring, his bracelet, and his staff. What is these? These are the things that represents his identity. How many of our brothers and sisters are selling out their own identity for a moment of pleasure? How many we see it today selling out their identity just so that way they can become, in their minds, famous, whether it's getting a record deal, whether it's being on the radio, whether it's, just to try to get whatever recognition. How many of our brothers and sisters have sold out their identity for a moment of pleasure? You thought that you was outsmarting the devil. See, many of us think that we could outsmart the devil. Do you know this devil know more about this flesh than we do? This devil mastered this flesh. He mastered the temptation. He's been doing this before we were born. So he knows how to come at this flesh. So you have Judah, Yahweh. His name means to proclaim Yah. But here it is, instead of proclaiming Yah, instead of praising Yah, Yahweh, now he's caught up in his flesh. Now he's thinking that he got this on the road secret. And now here it is, his own daughter-in-law seduced him. She looked just like his delusion, just like his stronghold. He laid with her. Now he gave her his identity. He gave her, like we would say today, his driver's license, to use it as what? A form of collateral to trust. Say, hey, you know what? You have my word. I'll be right back. I'm going to run to the ATM. I'm going to come back with the resources. And when he came back, she was gone. He couldn't find her. And she was gone with his identity. Come on, family. A lot of nuggets here. See, that signet ring, that's his signature to prove that's him. That signet ring was used to make transactions, to put his signature on things. See, when you study David, when David rejected Saul's armor, he said these things are not proven. Why? Because that's not something that he can identify with. When he took out that shepherd's bag, those are the things that was part of his identity of being a shepherd. So David had to tell King Saul, look, in order to fight this giant, I had to fight it what? Knowing who I am. I can't do this under your identity. I have to do it under my identity. The stuff that I have is proven. The stuff that you have is not proven, because if it was so proven, if you have so much confidence in your armor, why don't you go fight King, not King, but the giant? You see where we're going at with this? So your identity is literally special. Your identity is special. Don't trade or sell out your identity for whatever it may be. Your identity is valuable. Your identity is so valuable. Guess what? Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg is a multi-billionaire off of your identity, off of your data that's on his platform. He is he averages every year something like 40 to 50 billion dollars a year off of your data, off of our identity. All right. So let's get back into it. So your that signet ring is very important. And Judah sold out his identity for a moment of pleasure. So kings use a signet ring to stamp official documents or letters, right? So a king would stamp a letter or decree to prove its origin, to give it its his official approval and authority. In other words, the the stamp of a king's signet ring was as good as his signature, his mark of authority, and seal of approval. Now that we got that out the way, now let's answer this question. Let me show you that is so simple. The answer was given to us by listing Jeconiah or Jehoiakim, right, in the lineage of the Messiah, and listed Zerubbabel. So you have to understand and fully study and get the understanding. Why is Zerubbabel listed there? Well, let me show you why and how it's not a contradiction. And guess what? Joachim does not cancel out our Messiah. And let me prove it. Haggai chapter 2, verse 20 through 23. Notice what it says. And again, the word of Yahweh came unto Haggai in the 24th day of the month, saying, Speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth. Oh man, this is so powerful. Notice here it says, Speak to Zerubbabel, the governor of Judah. Now we got to deal with who Zerubbabel is, but let's go ahead and let's continue. Saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth. Verse 22, and I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathens, and I will overthrow the chariots. Now we're dealing with special forces. When you see the chariots, see, he'll overthrow the kingdoms, right? The thrones, right? The palace, the royalty, the bloodline of these kingdoms. He'll also destroy the strength of these kingdoms. In other words, of these nations. That's what heathen actually is. The proper context is nations, not heathen, but nations. And I will overthrow the chariots. In other words, the special forces of these different nations, because with Egypt, the horse and chariots that was their special forces. That was like every branch of service have their special forces. For example, the Army has the Green Beret and the Navy has the Navy SEALs. Every branch of service has their special forces, right? Or that specialty that they're known for. The Air Force is known for their for the aircraft, for the pilots. So we see here it says, I will overthrow their chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses, and their riders shall come down, everyone by the sword of his brother. Right? Verse 23. And that day, said Yahweh of hosts, will I take thee, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, saith Yahweh. Whoa, wait a minute. So Zerubbabel is the grandson of Jehoiakim or Jeconiah or Coniah. He is the grandson. Wow. Well, what's happening here? Because we see that in Jeremiah chapter 22, the Most High took the signet ring from Jeconiah, right? Jehoiakim. But look at what you see here. It says here, and it says, saith Yahweh, and will make thee as a signet, for I have chosen thee, saith Yahweh of hosts. Wait a minute. He just told Zerubbabel, the grandson of Jeconiah, the fallen king, that I read the judgments that Jeremiah chapter 22 said was declared over him about his seed. But then we see here his grandson said that the Most High didn't just say, he says, I will make thee. He didn't say, I'm going to give you a signet ring of royalty. Instead of getting this ring, instead of giving you a ring, he said, I'm going to make you the ring. Whoa, wait a minute. Y'all better grab hold of this. Instead of asking for change, he said, guess what? I'm going to make you the change. Wait a minute. So the Most High said that Zerubbabel will be his signet ring, the signet ring of the Messiah, the Most High. That's what he's saying right here. This right here shuts down all these this nonsense about the arguments trying to take down or discredit our Messiah, because we see here the Most High restored the bloodline right here. He restored the bloodline. The Most High, see, this is where many of the our brothers and sisters try to trip you up and say, well, the Most High doesn't change. Guess what? Read the context. Read the scripture in this proper context. The Most High will would never change, but the Most High could shift his decision at any moment. Y'all better grab hold of that, right? Y'all better grab hold of that. Better grab hold of that. The Most High will never changes, but he could change his decision, as we see right here. He right here, because Zerubbabel purposed in his heart that he was not just asking for change, that he became the change. He was not trying to seek to get a ring restored. He became the ring. So guys, if you want to have things change in your lineage and your bloodline, guess what? You become the change. You become, if you want people to believe in the word, then you become the living word. You may be the only Dabar HaQuadash that others may see. Many don't have time to pick up the Bible. No, they look at you and see how you're living. They see how you're demonstrating. They see your example. So Zerubbabel did not get a ring. He became the ring of the Most High. Well, y'all better grab hold of it. It says, and will make thee as a signet, for I have chosen thee. Now, saith Yahweh of hosts. Wait a minute. So we got some witnesses here. We got the prophet Haggai. We could confirm his reputation with Nehemiah, because he's mentioned in Nehemiah. He's mentioned in Ezra. He's mentioned in the Chronicles. He's of the books of Kings. We see that he is mentioned. We see that he's mentioned. He got a good report, a great reputation. He is blameless. Let me finish this up. So, and I will make thee as a signet. The Hebrew definition of signet, this is powerful right here, right? We see here, signature ring, seal, signet, right? But let's go to the primitive root word. Let's go to the primitive root word. Notice what the primitive root word says. To close up, especially to seal, make an end. Stop. Well, y'all better grab hold of this. So when you start understanding this definition, the Most High is confirming through the prophet to make it clear that Zerubbabel put a stop. He put an end to what? The judgment that was pronounced over his bloodline. Why? Because of how he operated. Guess what? He didn't have to no longer come up under the sins of his father. Why? Because he made it an assertive effort. He purposed in his heart that he would do everything that he can to serve the Most High. And here it is. He is getting the blessing to do what? To rebuild the temple. He's building a temple, right? Just like King Solomon got the okay, he was ordained to build the initial temple, but now Zerubbabel is getting was given the confirmation to do what? Build the second temple. This is why it's so important. So when many people try to discredit the Messiah because of Jeconiah, they don't know the word. So when you understand signet ring, that signet, you see here it says to close up, especially to seal, make an end, stop. Guess what, guys? Some of you guys that are watching this, you don't have to take on the sins of your father. You don't have to continue to wallow in the sins of your father. You can make an assertive effort to say, as for me and my house, on this particular point of this family tree, we're going to do everything that the Most High says. We're going to be the change. Guess what, family? This awakening, it's all about this remnant, right? Sha'ar, this remnant, the surviving portion, be the change. We have to be the change. Not just asking for, be the blessing. Not keep asking for the blessing. Be the miracle. Not instead of chasing miracles, be the sign. The Most High is using you just like he used Zerubbabel, as he declared over Zerubbabel. He said, guess what? You don't have to worry about a ring. Why? Because you are the ring. To close up, especially to seal, to make an end, to stop. Guess what? There's no compromising here. See, when you say to seal, when you seal something, you're closing up every area to make sure that, guess what, there's no compromise. There's no openings. When you're mailing a letter, you make sure the letter, the envelope is sealed. So that way, if someone called themselves trying to open it up, you're going to know that someone broke what? The seal. So guess what? The Most High used Zerubbabel to stop the judgment, to turn back that judgment on his lineage. Come on, family. So I will make you my seal. I will put, in other words, I'm just going to give you clarity. I'll put it in words that you can understand. That's simpler. I will make you my seal. That's what the Most High said to Zerubbabel. I will make you my seal. I will put a stop. I will make an end to what? The judgment, to what was declared over his grandfather. An end to what? An end to what? Going right back to Jeremiah 22. This is the end. He's putting an end to this right here, right? The signet ring was what? Plucked from Judah's right hand. But here's the kicker: to put an end to this judgment. To put an end to this judgment. Because not only did he restore the royalty, he what? Zerubbabel became the seal. He became that ring. And also here, right? This is key, right? Wherefore, matter of fact, let me go to here. For no man of his seed shall prosper, sitting upon the throne of David and ruling anymore in Judah. Well, guess what? Let's go back here. Let's go back to Haggai, because we see that he had a great reputation, right? Let me go further. Let me fast forward here. I will not make you a ring, but you will be the ring. Yahweh promised to make Zerubbabel his representative, to make him or treat him like his signet ring. He will be his signature. He will be identified. The Most High will be identified through Zerubbabel, because they are doing what? Rebuilding the temple. So in the present verse, Yahweh is comparing Zerubbabel to his own signet ring. But here's the kicker. Verse 1 and 2. And we have it in the other verses that I highlighted, but here's the kicker, right? Let me go to verse 2. Speak now to Zerubbabel, right? The son of Shealtiel, governor Pakat of Judah, and to Joshua, Yahushai, the son of Jasadek, right? The high priest, and to the residue, Sha'ar Yath or Sha'ar Rayath of the people, right? The surviving portion of the people. So we see that now the Most High is gathering, because they're rebuilding the temple. There's some issues here, right? Because the people are trying to compare the temple that is being built here compared to Solomon's temple, being that it's not the same size. You know, the people are really starting to complain about it. But the Most High spoke to Haggai and told Haggai to speak to Zerubbabel, right? Who is the son of Shealtiel, who is the grandson of Jeconiah or Jehoiakim, and he is serving in the role of governor of Judah. Wait a minute, Zerubbabel is serving as the governor of Judah. So he called him together with Josedek, who is the high priest of that time, and to the residue, in other words, the surviving portion of Israel. So Haggai's message was coming at a critical time when the people were unavoidably making comparisons between the two temples and becoming discouraged. So the 16th year, 16 years earlier, When the people laid the new temple's foundation, some of the older men who had seen the glory and beauty of Solomon's temple, they began to weep, right? Apparently, in their eyes, the newer temple was small and inferior by comparison. See, this is why we have to get out of this comparison, because the Most High is allowing them to build a temple, right? Build a new temple. But because it's not looking or the size of what Solomon had built, right? Some of them began to weep and complain. So as the work resumed, all these years later, the people were making the same judgment. They were falling right back into the same problems, the same issues. So Yahweh directed Haggai to immediately confront the people again. He instructed Haggai to speak to both the leaders and the people of Israel. And who were the leaders? I gave it to you. It was who? Zerubbabel, who was a governor of Judah, and also Joshua, Yahushai, who was the high priest, right? The son of Josedek, the high priest. So he called these two guys together, right? Yahushai, right? The son of Josedek, right? Who is the high priest. So he called the governor and the high priest, right? Because normally when you look at, I ain't going to get into all that. I was going to get into some other discussion. I'm not going to go geek mode. But he called them together. That's who the two that he called together, the leaders. So let's deal with the Hebrew definition of governor. Because we see the Most High restored Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel is sitting in the seat of power, a seat of position, watching over and over Israel. So we see here a prefect, in other words, of a small city or district, but he's over Judah, captain, deputy, governor. But let's deal with this word captain. Zerubbabel was a governor. He was a captain. But let's go to the Hebrew definition of captain, right? You see Nagad, right? Nagad or Nagid, right? Or here Nagid, right? Because you see the correct yod. But anyway, so wait a minute. What we see, this word Nagad, right? Nagad, this is where the word nigga, negro, nigger, right? Negus, right? All of these words, this is the Hebrew version of that word, right? So we see that Zerubbabel became the head Negro in charge during his time. He was a commander. He was over Israel. He was the governor of Judah, right? He wasn't the high priest, but he was the governor of Judah. See, this is important, family. A commander, civil, military, or religious, right? Generally, honorable themes, captain, chief, excellent thing. In other words, governor, leader, right? So this is who Zerubbabel was. So the Most High allowed him to be an authoritative figure over Judah. Wait a minute. That goes against the curse. That goes against the judgment that he declared against Jehoiakim. Family, I said all of this to say that guess what? You don't have to take on those strongholds. If you want things to change in your life, become the change. And Zerubbabel is a perfect example of becoming the change. He is the perfect example that guess what? When you go back into this definition, let me bring it back up. Let me bring back up this definition here. Let me go back here. Let's go back up here. I want y'all to see this. Let me go back to the signet, right? When we go back here to close up, especially to seal, make an end, stop. Zerubbabel with that old saying, the buck stops here. And with Zerubbabel, the buck stopped there. The judgment stopped with him. So this is why, and this is how you completely debunk anyone that's trying to use Jeconiah or Jehoiakim as a reasoning, as their argument to try to discredit our Hebrew Israelite Messiah. So there you have it, family. Can't put it no plainer than that. That's how you explain Jehoiakim being in the lineage of the Messiah, and know the Messiah that does not take away from who he is. Why? Because Zerubbabel shifted all of that. He restored the name, the reputation, name Sham, the name Hasham. He restored the name, the reputation, the glory back to his lineage through his actions. And the Most High said that he's not going to give him a ring, that he became his ring. Family, you can't get any better than that. Can't get any better than that. And I know Sister Carol is probably ready to do this right here. And look like my brother, Elder Eric, I'm sure he's probably ready to do this right here. I know you guys ready to shout, because guess what? Just because a judgment was declared, you can shift all of that just by way of how you carry out things. See, if I would have did the things and carried on what my father has done, guess what? I would be in his boat. But I thank the Most High for using me to break that cycle, right? Break that cycle. All of you guys can break that cycle. Is it easy? No, it's not easy, right? It's not easy, because everyone knew about the reputation of Zerubbabel grandfather. And Zerubbabel apparently made it a point that he was not going to follow the same footsteps of his father, right? You don't have to be an alcoholic. You don't have to chase women. You don't have to, be a Rolling Stone. You don't have to do any of these things. The buck starts with, stop with you. The buck stops with you. You be the change. If you want that promotion, look like your promotion. Don't look like where you are. Look like where you want to go to. See, I learned that lesson just by reading the scriptures, by reading this text when I was younger. If I wanted to be promoted, I wanted to get into upper management. Guess what? I had to look like upper management. So where I was at that time, just a senior tech in a network team, right? Fresh out of the military. So I started dressing like where I wanted to go to. I started writing up, documentation and SOPs and all of these things. I was doing this as a network architect, but I was writing it up as if I was in the upper management. And guess what? I began to dress like, I began to speak like, I began to do the things of those that are in that position. And before you know it, I'm in that position. And before you know it, I saw another area I want to get to. Guess what? I'm in that position. So you have to look like where you're not trying to go to, where you have a desire to go to. Some of you guys, if you want to be married, guess what? Look like and be the part. If it takes for someone to put a ring on your finger to become officially a husband material, or wife material, something's wrong. You're supposed to be a husband. You're groomed to be a husband. You're groomed to be a wife before you were even discovered. So be who you that thing that you desire for the Most High. If you're asking to be blessed, guess what? Be the blessing. Walk in it. You want that promotion? Be that promotion before you get it. You want the Most High to heal you? Guess what? Start operating. Walk in it. Be the healing. That's right. So again, Zerubbabel, he became the change. He didn't just ask for the ring. He purposed in his heart to be the ring. And the Most High said, hey, restoring your entire lineage. Family, I hope this blesses you. I hope this lesson ministered to you. And it ministered to me years and years ago when I studied this text. And it really helped me to see things completely different. So again, this is for Sister E and Sister Carol. And let's give the garbage can to a lot of these Messianic brews and Jews as we know them. Let's give them the garbage can for these things that they're coming up with to try to discredit the true Messiah. Let's give them also a 3-piece, and let's give them their meal to go. So with that being said, family, really appreciate you guys tonight. And remember, especially in the day and time we live in, Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 to 14. Fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, you don't ever have to deal with them ever again. They will not be a stronghold over you ever again. Anyone that are the Zerubbabels that are out there that have those Zedekiahs that are in your life, the Jehoiakins in your life, they will not be a stronghold over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you. But here's the kicker. You have to hold your peace. Can't go back. Can't stay here. Keep moving forward.